On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, the GRS Ragnarok stock is here. Cory Booker can't get no love. Robar is closing, and Walmart doesn't matter.
Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Marky and Freeze, and this is episode 143 of the John 1911 podcast. How's it going, Freeze?
It's going good.
It's good. I'm driving right now. I'm merging on the 75 South, and we're going to be going out to the range today to maintenance a bunch of farm equipment and to maybe build a target stand at. I think I have one at 200 I need to build. So yeah. It's been kind of I'll tell you what, it's been kind of a rough 4 or 5 days, and it's been my own fault, but I just need a break.
Well,
so
I'll tell you what.
I told the office, I said, no, I'll be on the range today. I'm done. So.
Yeah, well, I've had last week was just a bad week for me. Whew.
That's right. Yeah, you're having issues at your work too. So.
Yeah. So.
Well, I wanted to. I guess I'm going to talk about something funny. So, do you know who Cory Booker is?
I do.
And he's running for president. He's from Newark, New Jersey, and he's one of the. Remember, he's Spartacus.
Yeah.
You remember he was the guy that Spartacus. I just remembered Spartacus, and so, he's not getting any traction on his. He's not getting any traction on his presidential campaign, and he's. Realistically, a bunch of these people are not really running for president. They're running for vice president, hopefully, or something else. But, whatever. So he started dating a used to be famous actress named Rosario Dawson. And
I've heard of that name.
Yeah, you would recognize her if you saw her. She's an attractive woman. And
what was she?
She's a Hollywood actress, not a TV actress. So, I can see the character. She normally talks with this normally she plays characters with a heavy affected accent. Her accent is not that heavy in real life. She's I can't even whatever right now. But the funny thing is, so. He started dating her, and because he's not an old guy, he's probably our age, and I'm sure women think he's a good-looking guy. I think he's probably a good-looking guy, and so he's dating this kind of pseudo hot Hollywood actress, and it was like, ooh, the left is all that, like TMZ at one point had caught her flying into Washington in one of the hotels, like, oh, you in town to see Cory, and what do you think about his presidential campaign? And it's, he was using her not heavily, but it was like, hey, if I could be president, Spartacus can bring my actress into the White House. Well, somebody cornered her somewhere this past week and said, are you going to? You've never gone on the record. Well, do you endorse Cory Booker for his presidency? And she's like, I have no comment. And it's just like,
really?
Wait a minute. You're his girlfriend. You're not going to endorse your boyfriend for president? I mean, just even out of no one's going to be like, geez, I can't believe Rosario. How could you support? I mean, it's like, it's her boyfriend. It's like, of course, nobody would hold that. But she apparently refuses to come out and take a position on it. It's like, it's so bizarre. It's like, what the? It's like Spartacus cannot catch a break.
Apparently
it's like,
because even Arnold's wife, or I guess ex-wife now, she didn't support him. Because she was a Republican, I'm sorry, she was a Democrat. He was a Republican.
Was Maria Shriver a Democrat?
Yeah, she was Kennedy.
Yeah, I know, but I think they kind of. I don't remember if she endorsed him or not. But more importantly, who did endorse Arnold Schwarzenegger was his housekeeper.
She endorsed him a hell of a lot. So, I mean,
anyway,
this Rosario Dawson, I mean, is she a Republican? Is she a Democrat?
oh, she's a Democrat. She's never said, but I mean, she's a Hispanic American Hollywood actress. Of course, she's a Democrat. I mean, until further disproven, it'd be a safe bet. You know, the House money's 99% Democrat. And if she's a Republican, she's going to lie about it anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you want to be able to work. So I just thought that was funny. I was like,
Republicans in Hollywood don't work a whole lot.
Well, apparently, also last night there was a special election in North Carolina for I guess a House member that had passed.
I heard about that.
And you know, I'll be honest with you, I'm starting to look at North Carolina the way I look at Pennsylvania, and it's like, oh God, you know, North Carolina's turning purple. It's like it's going to probably turn Democrat, and you know, they're all like, oh, this election's going to be a real bellwether as to which way the 2020 is going to go. And, you know, they're all kind of like, you better get ready, Republicans. And bam, Republican wins.
Yeah.
It's like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be like, oh, disregard. Trump's going to lose because he's got less than 50% approval rating.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Yeah. So did Barry. So, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. Say, what's going on with my grips for my VP9?
Nothing right now. I haven't had a chance to get them. I've got the old the first attempt media. I've got pulled off the grips, so they're back in their original state. And and I'm gonna if I get a chance this evening, I might go ahead and reapply this evening. If not,
I brought that up for a reason, and here's why. Because this came up this weekend when we were working on the GRS rifle project. So the GRS chassis system.
Yeah.
From Norway. So to get the R8 receiver block out of the stock.
Yeah.
In the pistol grip, I needed to put some heat on it with a heat gun.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we got a heat gun, no problem.
Yeah.
And I went to look for it, and I couldn't find it. And I was thinking about it, and I was like...
Yeah, it's sitting on my shelf. I can see it from here.
Well, at this rate, you might as well keep it because we had to go buy another one. So,
okay, well, now we got two.
Yeah, so now we have two heat guns. So it's like, I was like, God damn it. It was a weekend too, and it's like, I hope I can find a heat gun on a weekend. So I found one. So it was like $29.
Oh yeah, they're not expensive, you know.
So, but I needed to hit the pistol grip to get this, get this bolt out of this Blaser. And I was like, I was sure as shit wasn't going to. Here's the thing: I don't have a dryer, so it's like I'm not going to go out and buy a damn dryer. It's like I'm just going to go buy a heat gun. It's like I'll just, I was like, well, if I can't find one on a weekend, I'll just get on Craigslist and be like, hey, is this heat gun for sale? Meet me at the gas station at the corner of whatever.
Look, my thing is Harbor Freight is your friend.
Yeah, I didn't think of Harbor Freight, but they're open late on weekends, aren't they?
Yeah, they sure are.
Probably open until at least 6, so I could have gone there.
Yeah. But I mean, you could have went to Harbor Freight. But I mean, Home Depot and Lowe's, both of those places carry them, and they're open till, hell, at least 9 o'clock.
Yeah, so that's what I was like. I didn't realize they were open late, so just ran over and got one of those real quick. And, and I could, I had a choice. I could have bought a cheap one for $29. That was like 1,200 watts or 1,200 degrees.
Yeah.
And then for like an extra 100 or 150 degrees for 13 something, or maybe it wasn't that much more in temperature, but it was like $60.
No,
but then this was interesting too, and I wasn't going to buy it. But I like the Ryobi tools, the battery power tools, because that's kind of I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. We use them even on the range. Well, apparently Ryobi now has a battery powered heat gun, and it's like that was like over $100. It's like, no, I don't need a battery powered heat gun, so I'm not.
No.
Also, you know what? But what'll happen is it'll be this winter, and we'll be at the range trying to start a fire, and I'll be like, I wish we had that battery powered heat gun in that shipping container.
No. What'll happen is we'll be at the range this winter, and the lock will be frozen on the container, and you'll be like, man, I want a battery-powered heat gun to thaw this lock out.
Well, actually, because that happened last winter, and I had to buy that nasty de-icer, so it's not even a de-icer. I had to buy like a degreaser, like a heavy. No, what? Maybe it's like some kind of grease for us. It's really for like trucks.
Yeah.
It's not a de-icer because I bought a little like itty bitty de-icer thing like you get at the store. Like, ooh, stick it in the lock.
It was probably a graphite spray.
Yeah, this stuff comes in a big can that's bigger than a can of spray paint, and man, it is putrid as hell. It's like, I mean, you feel like you're in like an industrial park. You get this shit on your hands, and it stinks, and you can't get it off. It's awful. So I'm like, you know what? Now that you mentioned it, I should have bought that goddamn battery-powered heat gun.
See, you can always find a reason to buy some battery-powered Ryobi products.
Shit, you know what? I hadn't. Literally, I'm literally like, my mouth is open. I'm like, oh shit, that would have been perfect. Just kept it in a truck all winter. Hit that lock real quick.
Yep.
Ooh, and just.
How many? Just out of curiosity, what was the temperature rating on the battery-powered?
I don't remember. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like anything like super crazy. It was. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I'm sure it was comparable to the cheap one. I'm sure it was at least 1,300 degrees. So.
Yeah.
So because the one that I don't remember the one you have has or not, but this one we bought, when you run it, when you go to turn it off, it needs to cool its element, so it just it turns off the heating element, the power to it, but it runs the fan, so it doesn't melt the fixture on the front of it, so it tries to cool itself off, so you can't turn it off right away efficiently. So I'm sure they're all like that though. So
yeah.
Well, since we're talking about it, I guess we should talk about the GRS chassis. So.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Well, I guess the first thing I should say, I'll admit this because GRS is going to listen to this. Jerry, GRS, the GRS rep of the United States may listen to this, and the CEO of GRS in Norway may listen to this, but they all know I did it. I initially screwed up inserting the receiver block into the GRS chassis, and I used the wrong parts. I tried to use the parts from the Blaser, and what it does is it causes the receiver to, because when you torque it down at like 53 inch-pounds, it warps the receiver block because it's not level, because you didn't use the correct parts to level it from GRS, and it binds up the action, and GRS saw that. And I worked it once myself and realized there was an issue, so I made some small changes and then got it together, then put the video together, and GRS was like, that's wrong. We don't even know how you got it together that way. You got to take it down and use all the parts that we sent, not any of the Blaser parts. And I'm like, oops, there goes 40 hours of video time.
When you take your truck to have the engine rebuilt and you go to pick it up and there's a little pile of spare parts that came out of the engine that didn't go back into the engine, you know the guy who did it didn't read the manual properly.
Yeah, like, look, there's an extra washer. And that's literally what it was. There was one, and I was like, oh, they gave you 2 washers in case one got lost. Because, like you buy shit from China, they always put an extra piece or 2 in there. And I'm like, well, they just threw an extra washer in.
No.
No. And I would say something.
Doesn't work.
It's thick as if people see that a Blaser receiver block is literally a block of metal. Like, it's a block. It's thick. It's a thick block. And the fact that I can induce flex into that block is saying something. So, and
Yeah.
so the video that's up is the correct way to do it, and it's all good.
It's a good video. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I reshot the video and just removed all of the drama trying to get the block out of the Blaser stock because I didn't know. Well, I found information on how to do it online, but it was wrong.
So what you're saying is some of this footage will go into your next bloopers reel?
Oh, dude, I tore the hell out of that Blaser stock because what it is, apparently there's two different, there's a thumb hole stock and a regular stock. And the way that you get to the screw on both of those, it's similar, but it's not exactly the same. And the only way I found instructions on how to get to that receiver block screw, that action screw, was for the thumb hold stock, not realizing that it's different. And I tore the hell out of the bottom of my stock doing that until I figured out what was wrong. Because I thought I was fighting glue.
Is the original R8 stock usable?
It is usable, but you know what? It's marred to hell on the bottom, and like look, those guns are expensive, and the people that buy those guns are kind of prissy. Like I would be unsellable. Like it would be like in their eyes, I ruined it. I'm sure, but we'll see if I can't convince GRS to sell me this chassis that we have now. Because right now I don't own it. We just have it because I begged and pleaded for it, and it's not even certain at this point whether they're going to let me buy it. So
yeah,
I mean they're not giving it to me. I'm asking to buy it. So
well, hopefully they'll be willing to sell it to you.
Well, I'd asked them. I said, well, do you any vendors or anybody you want me to like list or publicize that has them in stock that people, because once we publish it, the whole world's going to be like, boom, where can I get this stock from, this chassis? And they're like, you're Optic in Pennsylvania. I'm like, great, you're Optic in Pennsylvania. I haven't checked them this morning, but 2 days ago, they show the stock on their website, but they still show it as back ordered, not available. So
Gotcha.
I don't know if even they have them yet.
Well, look, I mean, from my point of view, I think they should sell it to you because, I mean, at this point, it's used.
Well,
that's the argument I'm going with.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? The thing is, it's like, look, they have a problem. Look, because this is your perspective. Because, look, this is America. This is not England. This is not France. This is not Norway. And in America, the land of the Remington 700 and the Winchester Model 70 and Ruger rifles, most guys don't buy Blaser straight pull guns because they're too expensive. They're too expensive. So, if they let's say there's gear review websites, if they want to do a review, like, hey, can you guys do a review of our GRS Ragnarok chassis system for the Blaser R8 German rifle? They're probably like, sure, no problem. Can you also send us a $4,000 or $8,000 gun? Because they don't even have the gun.
Yeah.
And, we're like, I'm like the one bozo that's like, I love Blaser. Can I have this? So.
Yeah. That actually, I never even really thought of that, but you're right. Because, if you go look at probably virtually 100% of the gear reviewers that you can find online, none of them are running Blasers.
No.
I mean, okay, there's going to be that one guy in the U.S. that is, but if you want to...
You're talking to him right now.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the guys that are reviewing Blasers are in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's people in the U.S., but I'm kind of leading the pack on it. I mean, in the English-speaking world, I mean, this isn't saying a whole lot, but in the English-speaking world, John 1911 is probably, probably the #1 website that talks about Blaser rifles because there's just no competition. Nobody else is running these guns. I mean, I'm sure Blaser in Texas is like, I mean, they sell R93s and R8s, and they sell their shotguns, and there's all these very wealthy people, well-heeled people that buy these guns. But
yes,
there's not. I mean, there's not hundreds of thousands of these things. And
well, and most of the wealthy people that are buying these guns aren't making videos for YouTube of them either. They've got
exactly.
They're hunting with them, they're shooting with them, they're sitting in their $25,000 mahogany gun case with all their other Weatherbies and shit like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I had this similar kind of situation with Blaser USA. They're in I think it's San Antonio. They're in Texas somewhere. And maybe Austin, San Antonio. Blaser USA is in Texas. And we've had communication with them. You and I, we talked to I think the guys left Blaser. But the tall guy, when we went down to the meeting for the Chris Kyle thing,
I know.
Yeah.
I think I offended him.
Well, yeah. Well, you're a Ruger guy, so which is fine. But like, so
you know what? I was just telling him the truth, and and sometimes the truth hurts.
You're not going to buy $4,000, $7,000, or $8,000 rifles. So, but here's the thing. So, but I've had communication with Blaser USA over the years, for parts or service or talking about stuff, and I just got to be honest. They talk to me like, I don't know. They talk to me kind of like they don't know who the fuck I am, or like they don't care. So like, here's an example. So at the NRA show in Indianapolis, Blaser had a booth, and there was a woman there. She seems perfectly nice. I'd never met her before, and introduced myself and kind of showed my hand, the website, kind of who we are, and we're really into these Blaser things. And, maybe, she's like, didn't seem that interested. She was like their marketing person. Like she's their director of marketing or social media or something. And she didn't seem to be that. It's like, okay, maybe she doesn't, look, every yahoo comes up to her at the NRA show, and she's like, yeah, whatever. Like, but it's not like their booth was busy. Like they were not busy. And so I was like, so go home.
That's not a shocker.
Yeah, exchange cards, go home, exchange information, reach out to her with a follow-up, links. This is who we are. It was nice to meet you, by the way, because I was asking about, some stuff and some projects and whatever. And she responded, and I was asking her about the 22 rimfire conversion kit that I've been waiting for, well, you, as a matter of fact, you were with me. We were at we were in, I think it was Dallas, and we were talking to the guy at Blaser USA about a rimfire 22 conversion kit. I had asked about it. He told us to our face. He said, Blaser is coming out with a kit. And a lot of people in the Blaser community didn't believe it. It's like, well, I don't fucking tell you. The dude said it to my face. It's been a couple years, but they got it done. And so I followed up with the woman, and I was like, when are these kits coming in? Because they announced them at SHOT Show. And she said, well, probably June. So, time had passed. I waited past June. I hadn't seen anything. So I reached out to her, and I was like, hey, can we see about maybe getting one of these kits, like buy one or T&E or, whatever, because we don't do gear reviews, but if there's something I'm interested in or you're interested in, we'll fuck with it because we probably want it. And I'm communicating with her, and she's like, so, well, they're delayed, and, we'll when they come in, we'll work on getting you one, but it's going to be kind of tight, because we have to, there's other writers that want them. It's like, okay. So she's like, that's fine. But then here's what goes, would you need a rifle as well to test it? And I'm like, I mean, look,
really?
I get it. It's like, I'm looking at the email, and I'm like, All right. And I mean, it's just, I mean, there's part of the reason Blaser doesn't do that well. Their service is impeccable. Like they will take care of their people and everything's free. You spend the money, they will fucking lickety split. Like they will do whatever they can. But man, I'm telling you, it's like Blaser in the United States has never, ever been run right. It's jacked up.
That's a damn shame too, really. I mean, it is.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter. I mean, it's the guns we run, guns I run, and we'll get it all going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just sad because it's like she really paid no attention to you whatsoever. You're telling her your bona fides and all that crap, and then she comes back with, hey, would you need a rifle with that? It's like, seriously?
I know. And it's like, but you know what? Look, I also don't want to be one of those guys. Look, I never want there to be video of me, a cruiser cam video of me standing on the side of the road, looking at a police officer going, don't you know who the fuck I am? I mean, that's never going to go good.
Yeah.
I hate those fucking people. So just keep doing what we're doing. Yeah. It'll work out. It'll be fine. So, but I'll tell you what, GRS and Norway is, dude, they are on the spot with us. I mean, I am not convinced that I am not certain that chassis that we have isn't the only one in the country. It's production. It's not a pre-sample or whatever. It's a production gun because it's got our production, chassis because it's got all the instructions and inspector marks. Like it's ready. You can tell it's ready to be sold. And but I'm like, they shot it right on over. It was great.
That's awesome.
It was so refreshing. As a matter of fact, you and I were joking. We were like, yeah, everybody tells us they're going to do all this stuff, and it never happens.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
Then that day at the armory, bam, a chassis shows up.
Yeah.
I mean,
call me shocked, but that's great though, because
a lot of people have made promises to us and it never happens.
Exactly. And that's what we were talking about. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. They're going to send you a Ragnarok stock. It's like, okay, cool. I really can't get excited about that. If we get it, then I'll get excited. But until it's actually in our hands, it's like,
Yeah. Because I wanted it, but you made a good point. I don't want to say it on, you said it in private in office conversation, but I want this publicly said to your credit on the podcast. So, look, I'm the Blaser guy. I like them. I think they're neat. I think they're accurate. They tickle the boxes for me. It's what I like. No one else has to like it. I understand. I get it. It's fine. But here's the thing. I fucked up the initial GRS video. I fucked up the torque specs and how to assemble everything. And I had to redo it. And it was a lot of man hours. And I was kind of bummed out. I was kind of tired because I've been doing this for like 3 days straight, like literally all day for 3 days dealing with this. And you said, yeah, I know you're frustrated. You sound a little down, but just remember this. What would this feel like if you actually were doing this for something you didn't give a shit about? Like a gear reviewer? Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. Dude, oh my God, that'd be terrible. Oh, yeah. Like put in like 30 hours of work for like, I don't know, the latest Glock pistol that's just like every other Glock pistol. Then you got to remake all of that shit. It'd be like, oh, fuck me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was, you were like, oh my God, I put in, like 40 freaking hours and blah, blah. And it's just like, yeah, but you put in 40 hours on something that excites the shit out of you. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It sucks that, it didn't work out at first, but, you ended up putting out a damn good video. I like the video. I think it's stellar.
Yeah, just a basic install.
Yeah, and more importantly, it was time spent on something that you like. And hey, guess what? You'll never misassemble it again. You know what you're
Yeah,
doing now.
that's true. I know what I'm doing. And there's a little loss in translation because literally Norway English is not their first language, and so like even like the torque specs were in Newton meters, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to have to figure out what the hell that is. So I had to Google it and then convert it, and I was like, okay, so it's in inch pounds. I can do that, and it worked out to 53.10 inch pounds for 6
Yeah.
Newton meters. So it was like, all right, that's cool. It was kind of neat.
You know what though? That brings up a very good point, because if they want to market this in the United States, they may want to modify their instruction manual to go with inch pounds instead of the Newton meters.
Yeah.
Because not that whoever buys this chassis system and puts it together can't figure out the conversion like you did, but I don't know what this chassis system is going to cost, but it's not going to be cheap. And, the instructions need to be a little bit user friendly.
Well, you know what? That's the thing. There really were no instructions in the box, but in GRS's defense, there's a manual and torque settings for different things and like how to maybe take care, all this stuff. But see, GRS in Europe is a very well-known company. And so I think people in Europe, it's not that it was hard to install the receiver block into this chassis, but if you're not familiar with it, you're not familiar with it. And I think everybody in Europe is so familiar with it that I think GRS takes it for granted that it was going to be obvious to an American how to do this. And it wasn't quite obvious. And so that's kind of why they sent it to us anyway. And I think they learned something from it. We learned something from it. And I'm super grateful and excited GRS has letting us play with this. So.
No, yeah, absolutely. I am as well. Yeah.
So, hey, I remember we were talking about, speaking of like people making promises and then disappearing, the people, I can't remember exactly who in this drama, which person, but the people that were involved in that AA-12 shotgun thing, they had reached out to us wanting to do stuff, and like that never happened. And we were like, hey, we'd be interested in an AA-12 shotgun. And we had said that the ATF was coming around and taking all the guns.
Yeah.
Picking up the guns. Well, apparently there's more to the story. So there may not be any guns that have been sold to the public, but what they did, there's people that paid for guns.
Oh.
Yeah. So apparently people were paying for this stuff.
God, what was that company that made that was trying to make the Sturmgewehr?
Is it HMG?
Yeah, I think so. Weren't they in a similar situation? I mean, not obviously a situation where the government was shutting them down, but didn't they have a lot of people that paid for guns that they didn't produce on?
What they did is they had produced tool room samples that were hand fitted for the Sturmgewehrs, and they were going to be semi-auto, and they were going to offer 223 8mm Kurz 7.62 by 39, and they were going to do all these calibers, and they were going to do custom. They were going to do an AR magazine that looked like a Sturmgewehr mag on the outside, but fed. Like, it was all this crazy stuff, and like they were showing tool room samples at SHOT Show, taking deposit. Like, people were paying like $1,500 because it's like, and they never, as far as I understand, they've never gotten the production run set up. Like, they can maybe make them by hand, ones and twos, but they've never successfully been able to mass produce them to fill orders and assemble them and actually make it viable. And I don't know what's going on with that, but I do know I did notice that they were selling some kind of steel target, I think maybe to raise money. And, because it was like, hey, we have the Hill and HMG, Hill and Mac Gunworks. Whichever one it is, it's HMG in Atlanta. It's not the people in Texas that make the repops. It's HMG and they're in Atlanta and Georgia. And they actually, I think that's a huge mess. And like Ian McCollum and all those guys are all wrapped up in it because they were promoting these people. I mean, it's and again, it's nothing bad against, like we would promote them. Like, look, I'm promoting GRS rifle stocks. I mean, shit, I hope they fucking come through. You know what I mean? Like they had every reason to believe these people had invested hundreds of thousands of dollars making these tool room samples and like products and features, and it's been years. We gotta be on 4 years now, right? At least 3.
Oh God, yeah. No, it's every bit of 4. Every bit of 4.
After we get off the podcast, I'll go to HMG's website even see if it's still up. Because that'll be a cool trick in itself. So
yeah. So the going back to the AA shotgun. So they never actually sent any out to the public.
You know what? I'm not that deeply involved in it that I was going to spend hours, but I saw some reporting that basically said that I think one company designed it as so I could have this wrong to the listener, so if I have it backwards, I apologize, but it's basically something like this. Some company designed this gun back in the old days, and another company got access to the plans from those shotguns. And so there was some debate as to whether the plans that they bought, they were going to make them into semi-autos, or the semi-auto didn't work and it was still full auto. But there was some question as to what this company that bought the plans and were going to produce these shotguns, what they had apparently was not going to be compliant with the ATF, and the ATF was like, this semi-auto, whatever it is you're trying to make, the way this is laid out, will not pass NFA. It'll be a post-dealer sample because it's still a machine gun, and so they're fucked because they have to redesign, and I think they bought a design that they thought was semi-auto, but it's not really. It's kind of like we were just talking about this in Russia, fully automatic weapons are technically restricted or illegal. So if you have an AK-47, it can't be fully automatic, but all you have to do is take a little block and block the selector switch, or like with an AR-15, you can have an M16 with a third pinhole and an auto sear in it, as long as you block the selector so it can't go all the way over to the third position. It's in Russia, it's a semi-auto.
Just put a little block weld on the receiver, but bang.
In some countries, that's considered a semi-auto. In the United States, the ATF won't even let you do semi-auto open bolt guns because it's too easy to fuck with the system to make it drop into full auto. So even the semi-automatic 240, we've got the military collector series from FN, and there's the M4, the M16, we've got the M16, and then there's the SAW. It's a 249S. Hey, there's a giant troop landing ship down here by the river.
Really?
Yeah. I may have to take a picture of this. I'll have to loop around. That's pretty interesting. It's got guns on and everything. I can't remember what I was saying. I was distracted by the ship. So, but anyway, apparently this gun is apparently, it's like a 1970s semi-auto. It's not a post-86 semi-auto. So they're fucked. And everyone's out of money. And the thing is, don't put down money on vapor guns.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? that loops us all the way back to a conversation we were having, God knows how many podcasts ago, about the Hudson. When the Hudson came out, we were both pretty excited about it, but it's just like, yeah, we're not really going to be willing to drop any money on this till we know this thing takes off. Well, we saw where that went.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, I still may be interested in a Hudson just from a reference gun perspective, but
I want a broken Hudson for $300. That's what I want.
There's a company out there. I think we talked about this. So apparently, because most manufacturers don't make all their own parts, so I'm taking pictures of this LST. I think it's an LST or LS. Maybe it's an LSD. But this thing is massive. I mean, this thing is.
It's probably an LST.
This thing is huge, dude.
I've seen. There's an LST that runs up and down the river. I've seen it docked on the riverfront before.
This has to be it.
It's probably the same one. You can actually get.
Is that like a Confederate Air Force LST, or is that actually run by the Navy?
No, it's like obviously not the Confederate Air Force, but it's the same thing. It's kind of like that. It's run by an organization. It doesn't belong to the Navy. It was bought and restored, and they have like a World War II vintage like ambulance on there, and just some vintage vehicles and crap. And you can go down there and tour it, get on it, and play around. It's kind of cool.
So I see something I've never seen before, and I'm like, holy shit! And Freeze is like, yeah, I know what that is.
Hey, Milsurp, dude.
Yeah, you're a Milsurp guy, so.
Hey, but I tell you what, I've got an idea how to expand the business.
Yeah, I'm all ears.
John 1911 Racing. The JJL team is selling out, and they're looking for a new owner for 2020. It's the truck series. And look, if we can go with truck series, even though I'm not a Toyota guy, I will allow you to pick the manufacturer.
I do like my Toyotas.
We can run a Toyota body.
Even though Toyota's basically wrecked NASCAR.
Yeah, pretty much. But,
Well, hey, wait, didn't NASCAR just turn down some kind of gun ad from some company? Yes. Or maybe like Daniel Defense was sponsored. Did they kick Daniel Defense out? What happened?
I don't know I don't remember what company it was, but yeah, they kicked out a gun sponsorship because, hey, let's face it, NASCAR was founded on, gun-toting, crazy right-wing rednecks. And, hey, you know what? Let's go anti-gun because let's piss off what little old-time fan base we still have.
I actually have a theory on that, and I was explaining that to somebody yesterday because they were talking, like the Walmart thing came up, and I was like, look, let's be real about Walmart. Number one, I've been hearing for almost 40 years how Walmart has been putting mom and pop gun stores out of business. So let's stop pretending that we all care. We give two shits about Walmart. The second thing is the only time really gun guys, I had to say this, go to Walmart is if you're hunting and you need hunting ammo, and maybe you're traveling and it's the nearest Walmart. And now when you look at Walmart's business, they're being eaten up by Dollar General, Family Dollar, and all these discount companies. And it's just like, yeah, and the Walton family's super wealthy and they're super liberal. Walmart has not represented or been a part of communities in a long time. Like the question I asked rhetorically was, in some town in middle America, should Walmart be the geographical epicenter of the gun community in that town? First of all, the answer is no, it should not. And second of all, the answer is it hasn't been for a long time. So Walmart has matured into a Wall Street quarterly, behemoth company that's, they're more interested in keeping, the Wall Street bankers happy. They don't care about middle America. And that's no different than NASCAR. NASCAR has been failing for years. They're hemorrhaging followers. They're knocking down the stands. They're changing all the rules so Toyota can get into it. You taught me that, so they can get their rear-wheel drive car in that doesn't exist in the real world into a stock car racing thing. And then they've limited all these cars. They're all basically the same. NASCAR is dead. It's over.
Oh,
NASCAR is dead. And so it's like, whatever. No one gives a shit.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's true. And what you said about Walmart is also true. I don't even buy hunting ammunition from Walmart. I mean,
no, you don't need to. I mean, the only time I justify Walmart is if I was traveling for some kind of trip and I lost ammo or needed ammo, and the default answer is, where's the closest Walmart? Because they will have something. But look, like I was in Montana, and like we needed some ammo for some prairie dog shooting, and we didn't go to Walmart. There was plenty of fantastic sporting goods gun stores that were like, I mean, these were like as big as a small Cabela's, and they had everything. It's like, why would I go to Walmart? I just come here.
And I'll tell you what, they're building Bass Pros and Cabela's everywhere.
Yeah, and and eventually Bass Pro and Bass Pro will probably be the next one that goes. When they become too corporate, I mean, be prepared.
I don't see that happening anytime soon, but I never say never. But I haven't bought anything. I haven't bought anything like hunting related, shooting related from Walmart in probably 15 years. And that's no joke. I just don't. I mean, I'm not saying I don't shop at Walmart. I don't shop there a lot, but that's mainly because, all the Walmarts around me are ghetto Walmarts, and I won't go into them. But
I mean, like years ago, what I used to do is I used to buy cases of ammo, not boxes, cases of ammo from Walmarts. And so, like, technically, even back in the day, technically they couldn't sell you ammo after like 11 p.m. But like, like I was working nights, you still work nights. I would become friends with the manager and be like, hey, I need some 45. And how many cases do you guys have? Like, oh, we have 11 cases of, like, can I buy 3 cases of it? So 3 cases of 1,000. And, like I would buy cases, but that'd be the only, because that was the only place I realistically could get a case of ammo relatively easily, and not have it freighted from somewhere. But now with shipping and online sellers and like AIM and, all these, like Palmetto State Armory and, like Classic, I mean, all these internet gun dealers now, I don't even buy bulk ammo from Walmart. Why would I? Well, I mean, the only people that think Walmart represents middle America are writers on Saturday Night Live. The rest of us gave up on Walmart years ago.
Yeah. And I mean, the truth is, over the course of the past, I don't know, let's just say 7-8 years, I mean, it got to the point, it happened during, Obama's reign of terror. Walmart, ammo would be scarce, and Walmart would you can only buy, one box of 22 ammo at a time, and all that crazy shit. And honestly, most of the gun guys gave up on Walmart way back then because, I mean, truthfully, I can buy ammo online cheaper than I can buy it at Walmart.
Sure. And, if you explain, like, what's happened to Walmart's ammo and gun sales, and look, it's just like Dick's, when Dick's went through this horseshit with their guns. Look, Don't kid yourself, home listener. If you think Walmart was making top dollar and selling a whole bunch of guns, like it was really worth their time, if it was trending up, if it was expanding, they wouldn't have dropped it. It's declining, so this was a way to drop it and virtue signal anyway, just kind of like Dick's did the same thing. It was declining anyway. I mean, this, when Walmart comes out and says, we're going to stop selling cheap Chinese shit, then be like, that's interesting. But, they are not dropping lines of failing products. They're, of successful products. They're dropping lines of failing products. And everybody's all pissed off on both sides. The left thinks they've won. The right thinks they've lost. We're going to boycott Walmart. We're going to do this. We're going to hurt them. It's like, well, if you were buying ammo and shit from them already anyway, you've already were fucking hurting them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Walmart not selling handgun ammunition and not selling, like 223, 5.56. Frankly, Walmart can stop selling all ammunition. They can stop selling it all. It wouldn't affect me in the least bit, and I don't care. I'm not even mad at them. I mean, seriously, because I'm just indifferent to it. I don't care. I don't use them. I haven't used them in years. It's pretty much of a non-issue with me, And look, Walmart not selling ammo is not going to change, it's not going to change, gun rights. It's not going to affect our right to own guns or ammunition. I mean, it's not going to affect anyone in any way. There might be a few casual guys that don't shoot that, a couple of times a year I'll pick up some 22 ammunition or some 12 gauge shells, for, hunting or to take the kid out plinking with. It may affect them a little bit because instead of being able to pick it up when they're at Walmart picking up all their other shit, they might have to actually make a stop somewhere else. That's how it affects them.
Well, here's the thing. When you see things, what the problem is, this is just like the climate change argument. I'm going to actually go there because people like to pretend that the way things are right now are the way they've always been. Like people if you're 25 and you're 30 and you think like Walmart's always been the place to buy ammo, this is a travesty. We're losing this, we're losing that. I got news for you kids. When I was a kid, first of all, I hardly ever saw Walmart, first of all. And then the second thing was, where we used to go and buy guns and ammo from?
Where's
we used
that?
to go to the hardware store or to the department store.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me tell you the first time I was in Bass Pro Shop. When I was, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, we would go out to my uncle's farm in Indiana. And, we had, 22 rifle as all kids did. And when we would go out there in the town before, the last town before you got to my uncle's farm had a Bass Pro Shop. And it literally, I'm not kidding you. Now, the listeners won't know this, but it maybe was the size of 2 of my garages. Basically the size of, say, a 4-car garage. It was just this small hole-in-the-wall sporting goods store. Sold fishing gear, they sold ammunition and a few guns, and it was a Bass Pro Shop. And I mean, that's the first time I'd ever been in one. And we'd stop in there, and my dad would buy a couple 50-round boxes of 22 ammo that we could shoot on the weekend. But that's where we bought our ammo, at Bass Pro in Podunk, Indiana. Mm-hmm. And it was nothing like the Bass Pros today. It literally was it was like walking into a small sporting goods store that sells, fishing equipment, and it was probably 99% fishing equipment, and they had a small little gun counter where they had a few long guns back there. I don't remember if they had handguns or not, to be honest with you. They probably did. And they had ammo. Yeah,
I mean, I remember Woolworths as a kid, and I think Woolworths even sold guns when I was a kid.
Well, I mean, they could have. I mean, hell, Western Auto, which was an auto parts store, sold 22 rifles and shotguns and shit. They were made by Mossberg, because Mossberg made, like Sears guns, Western Auto, and
Well, here's the
and
thing:
all
if,
that. But
if that auto store, let me just stop you right there. If they ordered enough guns that they could do custom runs, that tells you something. Like when I mean, like I remember as a kid, like we were little, like we were. I'm not saying we were toddlers, but we were little, and my buddy had a 22 single shot rifle, and I probably was 22 short even. I don't even remember. And we needed some bullets, and so we had to walk like 4 blocks to the hardware store, and we went down there, and we are little kids, and he was like, and we had our money, and I can't remember if his dad had called down there and said, "Hey, sell my son and his friend ammo," or whether he knew, like, "Hey, little Johnny, your dad says you can only buy 1 box of ammo." But like today, like, I mean, dude, I bet you we were maybe 10. And it was, you went to the hardware store. And I'm actually not opposed to some of these hardware stores getting their FFLs again. I mean, look, if there's a market for it, people, they'll get it. I mean, I hate Walmart. Like, to me, Walmart has become a cross between McDonald's and the post office. And McDonald's and the post office and Walmart, your chances of getting robbed or into a car accident or fender bender or interfacing with a crackhead or a meth head or a felon go up exponentially if you are at a Walmart, a McDonald's, or a post office. And it's just like, why would you even want to fucking go to Walmart? I'm just being honest. If I'm not shitting on them, I'm telling the truth.
Yeah.
Like how many calls for service, do a lot of these Walmarts get? I mean, versus the gun store. Just saying. I mean, it's like, why? I mean, I understand people want to get all bent out of shape about this, but it's like, I mean, I'm looking at it from the other side. It's not I think that's more business for my local gun dealer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, why not?
And also, gun broker is hurt Walmart. If you want a particular type of hunting gun or you want a deal on one and you just have it shipped or whatever, and well, shit, Cabela's, like if there is a Cabela's in your area and you find a gun for sale at Cabela's in Alaska and you're in Florida, those people will ship you the gun. You pay for it. They will ship you to Florida free of charge and not charge you to transfer it either. I mean, tell me that doesn't just slit Walmart's throat.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, look, I get it.
Walmart hadn't made money on goddamn guns in years.
Like I said, I haven't bought anything hunting or shooting related at Walmart in probably 15 years. But I'll be honest with you, when did Walmart, I mean, man, I don't remember ever really going up to a gun counter at Walmart.
I only started buying ammo at Walmart, bulk by the case. And it was like, but eventually even the internet corrected that. So, I mean, I said, whatever. Walmart's just kind of like, whatever. It's just, Walmart is so over and so done. No one cares. Yeah. I mean, you know what? And speaking of change, you know what? We'll go ahead and discuss this and we'll go ahead and wrap this one up because I'm almost to the range. Just things change. Do you know who Robar firearms are? You've heard of them, right? Robar?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it's Robbie. No, that's not right. That's Barrett. Robbie Sparkman at Robar. So anyway, Robar Firearms has been around a long time. They did like their Robar MP3 coatings, and they do some full custom guns and, all this other kind of stuff, which was super cool. But the problem is, they're expensive and it takes them forever. And, there's a lot of competition now. Every town in America has somebody that makes Kydex holsters, and every town in America has someone that does, shake and bake coatings, right?
Sure.
Well, Robar has announced that they're closing. I guess at the end of the month they're going to be shutting it down. So unless someone buys them, but I suspect they've probably been for sale for a while and they were not able to find a buyer. So
probably not.
And so
things do change. And look, the truth is, when your bread and butter is, I believe they used to do custom 1911 and custom high powers too, didn't they? I mean, they would, they would.
Think they did.
But I know their bread and butter was their finishes. But
they did a particular. I can't remember. They did like a backup gun, like super slicks. I can't remember what it was. Some kind of backup gun, and they did a couple other things. But it's like, look, it's not cheap. Or even if it's the same amount of money, it takes what? I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year to get something from Robar. Well, there's other people you can get it in, in whatever. It's just times change. It's not special anymore. It used to be that, if you wanted a full tilt custom full featured 1911, you had to buy Colt, send it to Liebenberg or send it to Swenson and wait for them to hand fit everything. And it might take as long as it takes. Now, now they have something called semi-custom, and you can walk into any gun store in America and buy an Ed Brown, a Les Baer, or a Wilson. And as quickly as it takes for you to fill out the 4473, you got the gun.
Exactly.
Swenson's out of it. Yeah. Those guys, there's not a lot of business for those guys.
Yep. Well, time moves on, and honestly, there's so many guys. Look, there's so many guys like all these different finishes, and Cerakote finishes and Duracoat finishes. People can do that shit at home.
Yeah.
It's not like 10, 15 years ago where you had to send it off. You can do that crap at home. Man, doing a custom finish on your gun is not hard.
Every town has at least one guy with a laser machine that can laser engrave anything.
Oh shit! Yeah.
This isn't like it's a million. It's not like, oh yeah, we have $1 million worth of equipment here, and so nobody can compete with us. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Things change.
Laser engravers, because I love engraving machines and 3D printers and shit like that, and I get, I see all this shit pop up, on the internet. I look at it because I'm interested in that kind of shit. I'll probably never ever buy one, but I like it anyway. Dude, I saw an ad for a laser machine that it looks like a toaster oven. You can stick your freaking laptop in there and it'll laser engrave any image you want on the front face of the when it's closed,
Mm-hmm.
You can, laser the back of your cell phone. And it's like, shit, it'd be nothing to slap a gun in there. Look, laser engravers are not that expensive. Yeah, again, just like you can do your own fucking Cerakoting at home, you can do your own laser engraving at home.
Well, the 07 that we used for that we built the Wolf gun, he did the lower.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They're like all the markings on that gun are like perfect. They're gorgeous.
Oh, they are beautiful.
And what he did is there's a guy that he knows that's a subcontract that has a laser, and they just send it over to that dude and like put this on it, and it comes back, and it's it's as good as anything out of Smith & Wesson. So, All right, and we're going
Yeah.
long, and I'm here at the range, so let me go ahead and let's wrap it up. So,
Okay, that sounds good.
all right, this wraps up episode 143 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see stories, pictures, or links of things we talked about, you can go to our website, john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.